Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. What's going down, brother?
Yeah. Nice sunset happening. I've got the ocean there, which is nice. There's been an outbreak, actually, of bird flu. I've not told you this. When was it? I think it was on Friday. Amelia was obviously just walking Paddy back up the lane, and she saw like these people in hazmats, and she's like, "Oh, there's a big estate just there." The other thing I've not told you, which is crazy, a bit of a tangent, but the listeners will like this, I think. So this estate, this stately home, it's huge. They own all the properties around here, and the properties are big properties. But how's this family made its money? You just start looking at things, right? Because you're interested. And it's very difficult to pinpoint. But a couple of 150 years ago, right, there was a boat that was sailing from Australia to the UK, to England. And it had on it a haul of gold that in today's money was worth $150 million. The boat and its captain, it was one of the latest for back in the day. It was known for its speed. The top of the island, just around here, is a place called Holyhead. And when you get round Holyhead, this stretch here out the window, there's huge winds. And the captain was told by the Coast Guard to dock at Holyhead because there's hurricane force winds, and you're not going to make it to Liverpool, which is just there. You can see it. And anyway, Ego came in and he said, no, I'm going to push on to Liverpool. Pushed on, got taken down by the storm. The boat got washed upon the shore here, and along with loads of gold hasn't been found. In that estate, they've got a Rolls Royce.
Someone's
in like an oxygen tank. They've got suitcases from the ship. Obviously not been. I wonder how they're there. Not been declared. And as recent as 2015, I think somebody found the largest nugget of gold to be found either in Europe or the UK on that beach right there that had been washed up. Right? Crazy story. When Amelia was telling me this, I'm like, what? Look, should we go down, metal detector? But obviously everyone goes like treasure hunting there. Quite an unbelievable story when Amelia was telling me, but amazing. Anyway, obviously you think, well, the estate, how did they make the money? Kind of difficult to track that. Wonder if it was the gold.
You never know, right? You never know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's always funny to think about these things and what you do. And when today's topic is about surprise as well, right? Surprising finding the gold. But today I want to talk about how you can become dominant with the dopamine surprise. And so what I mean by that is dopamine is obviously a chemical released by the body, right? It's a hormone, controls a lot of what we do without our ability to really manipulate it at all. And dopamine's released, right, by women when things happen. I'll talk about that a little bit. But as a man, you want that dopamine hit to happen to your wife, to your partner, because it gets her excited, right? And when she's excited, she can get a little frisky, right? Or she can submit to you. So I want to talk about that because especially during COVID times, this has fallen by the wayside, right? We're here. COVID lockdown for a lot of people has been over a year now, which is crazy to think about it. And depending on the side of the fence you're on, it's going to be over tomorrow or it's going to be another 2 years, right? Who knows is the general thing. It doesn't seem like anybody knows for sure. So how do you release dopamine? How do you become an alpha again? And as we've discussed in previous podcasts and previous shows, a lot of men have fallen into the beta trap, right? To becoming a beta to their wife's alpha. She's running the show, really. And when she's running the show, sex just doesn't happen, right? Or it's not as good as it could be or as good as it used to be. So how do you flip the script on that, right? How do you flip the script on that quickly where you get yourself back in the alpha seat? So let's talk about that for a little bit, Tim, on how you can do that. So one way you can do it, right? Because a lot of guys, they've been deactivated for so long, right? They've been into the beta trap that they need to figure out a way to switch it up And we get asked this a lot of how do I do it, right? And guys coming through the activation method, we give them a list of ways they can do it. But here's one way that you can use the dopamine surprise honor. So I'll use an example. We're actually, you know what? Let's go a little bit into physiology and history here. So when a woman, right, is surprised by a man, right, especially when that surprise puts her in a situation where she doesn't know the outcome, she has one or two options naturally, right? One is to fight, right? And one is to submit. It's two things. She's either going to fight or submit. Because for a woman, the reality is bell-shaped curve, right? Is the man is going to be physically stronger and is going to be able to submit her one way or the other, right? If they fight, he's going to take her, right? I'm abundantly clear. I don't condone that. I don't condone rape or anything, forcing anybody. It sucks that I even have to say that, to be honest, but I want to make that abundantly clear. But this is historically, right? This is the way you kind of go back to caveman times or, medieval times when, things happened. And so if a woman finds herself surprised to be in a situation with a man alone, she has two options. She can either fight right away and risk this man overtaking her, raping her, or what have you, taking her in one way or the other. Or two, she could submit to him. Now, most women are going to submit. It's more of a natural reaction for most women, right? They're going to submit and allow what happens to happen. And so for a lot of women, this is also exciting. You'll read a lot about this in the trash novels that women read. In fact, 50 Shades of Grey. There's a reason this book was so popular, right? The man, the lead character in that book, took the woman. And so anyway, let's go back to the guys listening to this in their relationships. They're in a marriage and they've realized that they've been deactivated. They realize they've been deactivated from themselves and they've taken a back seat to the marriage. The marriage is what it looks like is it's become a sexless marriage, not a dispassionate marriage. There's no passion in there anymore. You become more like roommates, right? And typically in this case, the man takes the beta role and the woman is taking the alpha role. So one thing you can do, guys, right, is spring the surprise. I'm going to give you a couple examples here of what you can do, and then Tim, just jump in anytime. What you could do is, let's say you're driving somewhere. You're with your wife, and you guys are going to go to the store to get supplies for the house. I don't know. Something that's completely, lame. It's neutral. No thoughts about it. So you go to the store and you're getting supplies. On the way back, all of a sudden, you take a right turn down a street that leads to the woods, right? Or something. I'm using this as a made up analogy on the fly. You lead it to the woods. She is going to freak out, right? Even if it's just for a second, right? Maybe longer. In that time, she has a choice. Subconsciously, she's either going to fight with you or she's going to submit to you. If she submits, right, dopamine is released. There's an excitatory response. Either way, there's excitatory response. But that excitatory response allows her to fall into her feminine and then puts you naturally in the alpha role. You've surprised her, right? You're surprising her with what to do. She doesn't know what's going to happen next. Why the hell did you turn down this random street? And maybe you're just going a different way home, but you're doing something to surprise her, to snap her out of the routine, and for her to, even at a subconscious level, realize that you are the true alpha and that she has to make a decision. Now, she's going to make this decision, like I said, subconsciously. Usually, probably in a situation like that, for most guys, it's only going to last a few seconds for her. She's going to ask where we're going, etc. So another way that you guys could do it, and I'm not going to say it's a more advanced way, but it's a way a lot of guys in the brotherhood might do it. Is you walk up to your wife and you say, meet me in the car in 10 minutes. I'll get the car started. And you just walk away. She has no friggin' clue what's going on, where you're going, what's happening, right? This is going to cause her to do one or two things. One, she's probably going to ask where you're going. Don't answer, right? Meet me in the car in 10 minutes and just walk away, right? She may not get in the car, but most likely she will. And if she's getting in the car, she's submitting to your frame, your reference, your power that you're in control of this situation. She cannot maintain the alpha frame if she does the submission, right? And it's a small, subtle thing that you can do. It releases the excitatory hormones. So, dopamine is an example. And because she doesn't know what's going to happen next. And this is also a great way to spice things up. And especially, like I said, we're in COVID, lockdown. A lot of us are just done with this. We want to get out of the routine, want to get out of the house, et cetera, et cetera. So your wife's probably in the same way. How are you spicing it up for her? Tim, do you guys do any of this stuff? Or have you done any of this with Amelia?
The other night when we were driving back from we'd gone to pick up some food, the sat nav was telling me to go one way, but I could see that it was the same ETA another way, and I'd not been down that way before. Just carried on driving, and she's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I just want to go this way." And she's like, "Well, where does this lead?" I'm like, "It'll lead back to that road. It doesn't matter, you know." So she, a little bit on that level. I've not really tried with a great deal of commitment, to be honest. And that's probably why I'd say I try versus commit in the past to arranging dates where I've taken this frame. And I didn't really follow through with it back then, to be honest. Can't think why. All I can think of was it just wasn't really a real priority for me, maybe. I don't know. But I took this approach and faced quite a bit of resistance. And Amelia's story there is, what was the story? I don't like to be surprised. I don't like this. I don't never had, whatever. Which is interesting because obviously one that's a leadership and trusting. Does she trust my leadership? If that's the case, and I then follow through, and then she can learn to trust it in that instance. Although to be fair, as I speak this out loud and kind of process it, for her birthday, for her 30th birthday, I took her to Santorini, which is a Greek island. Amazing place. And I planned I think we were there 10 days, and I'd planned the entire trip and what we're going to do on what day and had everything booked and all that stuff. And it was great. And I loved it. And we had a great time. And she totally surrendered to that. So I don't know whether it was a little bit situational because it's like, hey, it's a birthday. So it's a little bit more, I wouldn't say expected. Whereas if it's just off the cuff and I said to her, hey, we're going to be going here in an hour. Be ready. She's like, I like to tan. I need 2 days notice. What should I wear? We'll put this on. Well, what about, she just has all these questions. So I've learned that for her, if I'm going to throw in a surprise like that about going somewhere, it really has to be 5 days out. And even when I do it 5 days out, God, for 5 days, I have so many questions from her. Well, what should I wear? Well, where are we going? Can you just tell me where we're going? It kind of kills the enjoyment that I get from the surprise. But a birthday one was really great. I really enjoyed doing that.
You did a great job on that one as well. And when you think about this, a lot of this comes down to spicing things up in your relationship, right? Adding the surprise element. Probably when you're dating, she didn't know really who you are at the first date. If you take her somewhere, right, it's a little risk there for her, even subconsciously. Every time a woman's alone with a man, right, there is a little risk. Sometimes a woman gets that creepy feeling. They'll describe it as creepy. And that's just innately, they don't trust the guy. They don't trust his sexual attention, right? Now, for a lot of men, that are married to their wife, they become neutered, right? Deactivated, neutered. And what I mean by that is they've become the friend, right? The friend who gets no sex, right? That friend, you hear about it back in college or high school, the nice guy who's friends with the pretty girls but never gets laid because he's in the friend zone. Well, a lot of men have been put in the friend zone. And unfortunately for a lot of guys, it's not friendly, right? In their marriage, it just isn't. So that's unfortunate too. So how do you do it? And you flip that script. And one of the ways you do it is by adding this element of surprise, this element of danger, right? It's not like you have to go skydiving or do things like that, but how do you just add a little element of risk or question in her mind, but also puts you in the alpha driving seat, right? Figuratively and literally in these examples. But where does that happen, right? Is it just, hey, throw on your coat, we're going for a walk? I live, as you know, I bought a house backed up to national forest here in the States. And so I have this huge, huge, expansive land that I get to basically step out my door into. And so I could take my wife out there, like, hey, grab your jacket. We're going for, going outside. And I can take her places that she's never been. And there's an element of excitement, like what could happen here? And then there's an element of submission. And that can lead to sex, right? Sex on the walk. Or I can, go back to our previous episode. If I'm doing it right, I'm joking with her. I'm being funny and mean at the same time, basically sarcastic, and going through it. And I can add these elements. But we're talking about here for most of the men who aren't in your situation, Tim. They've been deactivated for a long time. They find themselves, and no guy likes to admit they're in the beta trap or the beta role, but it's what it is. And their woman has taken back the power. She's controlling when you have sex. She's controlling the mood of the house. One way you can start to take that back is by releasing this dopamine by surprising her, right? Becoming more dominant with the surprise. And you can do that with a planned thing like you talked about with, your GPS was telling you go one way and you went a different way, right? And doing something along those lines that keeps her guessing. And there's going to be some guys in here that their relationship is so on the rocks that their woman's going to be like, oh my God, is he going to kill me? Going through her head. And that's good, guys. Don't do it, right? Obviously, but it's good to have her on her toes and then do something awesome. So plan it out. Think about this. Hey, I'm going to come home from the store and I'm going to swing around. I'm going to take her for a cup of coffee. I'm going to take her for a drink. I'm going to take her to get some chocolate, whatever. Right. But surprise her and take her on that. You're leading the journey. You are in control. And that's the key difference here. And that's how you can switch this state up really, really fast. Now, it's only one element, right? You still got to get yourself activated. It's only one element to get you back into the driver's seat to keep her guessing. But now you have her, you can get her a little off balance here. And, she's going to most likely fight for that balance. And if you're not secure in where you are, there's a good chance that she's going to regain balance and knock you off. But we'll get into that another time. For now, what I want guys to know is that you can become dominant by using this dopamine surprise trick, and you can use it today.
Yeah, I love it. And again, I think it does feed back into the previous episode, right? In order, the more that you take in control of your own needs, be it working out or the cold shower, needs is a big word. The more that you are consciously putting yourself in more of a masculine state, let's say, so you're really feeling that drive come back, that activation come back, the easier it's going to be to do things like this. The easier it's going to be to be playful and confident with this. I think you make a great point. I think doing this with the playfulness as well is going to be a surefire way to be able to stay rock steady within this and pass the test that will come along with it, and continue to move forward as is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, gentlemen, the first thing you want to do here is figure out and be honest, right? Where the state you are, what are the facts? And if you're in this situation where you need to spice things up or you haven't done it in a while, that's step one, is realize that. Step two is plan it out. My challenge to you is in the next 3 days, you have 3 days to pull this surprise. It could be simple. It could be, hey, you got 10 minutes, get in the car. I'm taking you somewhere. Or don't say anything. 10 minutes, I want to see you in the car. She might ask where, don't tell her, right? Grab your coat, grab your jacket, get her prepared, right? You don't want her freezing somewhere, but have that surprise. Or two, which is a much easier one, to be honest, is if your guys are going out someplace without the kids, although you can do a little bit with the kids, but really what I want you guys to do is without the kids, right? If you're going somewhere, and again, it could be shopping or what have you, take a detour. Stop by, grab a cup of coffee, stop by, get some chocolate, get some ice cream or whatever, go to the woods. Take a detour that is unexpected by her, right? And do that. And make sure you maintain the dominant frame, right? Don't become submissive to all of her questioning or submissive to what she's saying. Make sure you have the dominant frame. Now, obviously, Don't do it in a time where she's got like a doctor's appointment she's got to get to or something like that. I could see some guys doing this going, Doug, it didn't work. She had a meeting or a doctor's appointment. I got her, she was late and she didn't want the freaking coffee or the ice cream.
So you're so selfish.
yeah, exactly. You can see this coming, right? So be smart about it, guys. And if you have questions, ask them in the Facebook group, right? Refer to this podcast episode and ask them in the Facebook group. That's what it's there for, right? It's there for a community of men just like you, business leaders who are married and want to take it to the next level. So, gentlemen, that's a wrap for us. As always, if it's your first time listening to us, please go over to thepowerfulman.com/bonus. That's thepowerfulman.com/bonus and get that Reignite cheat sheet. Try it. This is going to help you in just what I'm talking about right here. And then, of course, if you've been with us for a while, Tim and I have a favor to ask you. If you haven't done it already, probably getting sick of me hearing me talk about it, but go over and just leave a rating. Leave an authentic rating on wherever you find us, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're finding us, so other men like yourself can find more episodes like this and get help in waking up. So, gentlemen, have an amazing week. And we'll see you next time on the Powerful Man Show.